Welcome, medical students, to this high-yield microbiology explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the absolute board-relevant facts you need to know about chancroid. We're going to cut through the noise and extract only the most crucial, highly testable information from our source notes, so you are totally prepped for the wards. Oh, and a quick pro tip before we start. Definitely turn on your captions and subtitles for this explainer. Paying close attention to the exact spellings of these tricky pathogens and pharmacological regimens will absolutely save you points on exam day. Here is our agenda. We'll be covering 1. Etiology and epidemiology. 2. Clinical features. 3. Complications. 4. Investigations. And 5. WHO treatment. Alright, so here is our primary roadmap. This single, perfectly organized page of whiteboard notes literally has everything you need to completely ace a chancroid patient vignette. We're going to systematically zoom in, decode, and go over all the proper labelings together to really lock this into your memory. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Etiology and Epidemiology. So, what's the culprit? The infectious bacterial agent responsible for causing chancroid is Haemophilus ducreyi. Whenever you're reading a vignette and it describes a chancroid, your brain literally just needs to autofill Haemophilus ducreyi as your prime suspect. Now pay really close attention to the labelings right next to the agent's name. You need to burn this vital morphological distinction into your memory. Haemophilus ducreyi is a gram-negative rod. Knowing right off the bat that it's a gram-negative rod instantly narrows down your differential diagnosis when you're thinking about the microlab. Okay, so how does a patient actually get this? Well, it's transmitted as a sexually transmitted infection, and here's a massive clue for your boards. It is the absolute commonest leading cause of genital ulcers in tropical areas, specifically across places like Africa. So if your exam features a patient who just got back from a tropical region and they're presenting with a brand new genital ulcer, Haemophilus ducreyi just shot right to the very top of your differential. Moving right along to Section 2, Clinical Features. The clinical presentation progresses in very distinct steps. It starts off with the formation of a bubo, which, if you recall, is a severely inflamed, suppurating lymph node right alongside some papules. But crucially, notice the label here, painful. These lesions will eventually break down into a full-blown ulcer. Just remember the classic medical school rule, you do cry with ducreyi. Because unlike that classic painless chancre you see with syphilis, the chancroid ulcer of Haemophilus ducreyi is incredibly, incredibly painful. Let's look a bit closer at the exact physical characteristics of this lesion. The ulcer has a soft tissue base featuring granulation. This soft base is exactly why chancroid is so often called a soft chancre. And that granulation tissue, it means the base is highly friable. So if you try to scrape it during a physical exam, it's going to bleed very easily. Let's look at Section 3, Complications. So what happens if this is just left untreated? Well, chancroid leads to some really severe local complications. The two big downstream effects you absolutely must memorize are the formation of a fistula, where that infected lymph node basically just burrows a destructive, messy tunnel right out to the skin, and profound tissue fibrosis, which is heavy scarring. These are permanent, disfiguring structural changes. It really highlights exactly why we need to intervene fast. Next up, Section 4, Investigations. Okay, let's say you've identified a painful, bleeding ulcer and a swollen bubo in a returning traveler. The clinical picture is screaming chancroid, but how do we actually definitively isolate Haemophilus ducreyi in the lab to prove it? The standard diagnostic investigations here are super testable. First, we perform an FNA, that's a fine needle aspiration of the abscess. And here is a huge board exam pearl for you. We aspirate with a needle rather than slicing it open with a scalpel because making wide incisions can actually trigger the exact fistulas we were just talking about. Second, we take that aspirate and send it off for a traditional microbiological culture. Finally, let's hit Section 5, WHO recommended treatment. Honestly, the most beautiful part of clinical management for chancroid is its sheer efficiency. The World Health Organization specifically recommends utilizing one of two distinct, highly effective single-dose regimens. From a public health perspective, a single-dose cure is an absolute game changer. It basically guarantees 100% patient compliance the second they walk into your clinic. So, the WHO provides two clear, gold standard options. Option 1 is an injection of the cephalosporin antibiotic, ceftriaxone. Option 2 is an oral tablet of the fluoroquinolone, ciprofloxacin. Both of these single-dose routes are highly effective. They just utilize entirely different delivery methods. Let's lock in these exact dosages side by side, because pharmacology numbers are always heavily tested. Option 1 is 250 milligrams of ceftriaxone, given either intramuscularly or intravenously exactly once. Option 2 is 500 milligrams of oral ciprofloxacin, also exactly once. Make sure you note that contrast. It's a 250 milligram injection versus a 500 milligram pill. Memorize those numbers for sure. As we wrap up this explainer, I have a quick final challenge for you. Close your eyes for a second. Can you clearly visualize that gram-negative rod? Can you trace how those painful papules break down into a soft, friable ulcer? And can you confidently prescribe that single dose of ceftriaxone or Cipro? Master these concepts of labelings and you are totally ready for the wards. But it does beg one last question. If this patient's ulcer had been completely painless instead, how drastically would your entire treatment plan change? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me and keep studying smart.